Deep in the water where the fish hang out lives a massive tanky mammal with a quite impressive shout. This blockheaded blubber boy is looking for a fight. He uses his ticks and tricks to hunt with little light. But piercing the eardrums of every nearby fish allows him to eat up all the squid that he could wish. He's big, he's belligerent, and noisy as can be. But it's just how you live in life, death, and taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter at LD Taxonomy or visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Tristan Taylor, Jesse Raspulich, Carol Raspulich, and Richard Kaspar. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today we're talking about a deep-diving jelly-headed leviathan.
Got it.
But more on that later.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
And that leviathan is called a sperm whale.
It's about time. We're doing...
Just like Endgame, it is about time.
We're in the endgame now. No, we're not. But we every once in a while we want to do a famous animal and tell you something about it you may not have known already.
And there's a ton of things that could be major facts about it.
That's what's cool about when we do some of these more well-known animals, where it's like, goodness, take your pick.
The beaver, had so many, and there was stuff we didn't talk about.
The same thing with the elephant. That was another one where it was like there's just so much stuff that's crazy about this animal, and that's why that's what makes them famous. They're not a one-trick pony.
Did I tell you that, first of all, speaking of the beaver, Calvin, that his new favorite fact is that beaver butt juice is used as a vanilla.
I did know that.
Vanilla substitute, and he's been telling everyone at church about beaver butt juice.
So it's just telling if you're using that International Delight creamer or Coffee Mate, just flip it over to the back and just make sure you don't see beaver butt juice on there, the ingredients.
I don't see why you would use beaver butt juice when vanilla is like a renewable resource. It's just a plant.
Maybe vanilla is more difficult to cultivate and ship
than beavers, situations.
I mean, maybe they're just geographically closer than French vanilla. You don't have to get it from France. You just hop on over to wherever you're keeping a beaver and squeeze its butt into your coffee.
But we're not talking about it.
Wood Fecal Productions is my favorite movie studio, headed up by J.J. Abrams.
Imagine the title card for that.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if I could describe almost every movie studio these days as Wood Fecal Productions. It's She-Hulk, produced by Wood Fecal Productions.
Speaking of Pinocchio, there's a fecal scene in that movie that everyone's talking about how stupid it was.
Yeah. When you were over at my house several weeks ago, you and Johanna and me and Baby sat down and watched what might be the worst Disney remake, possibly. I don't know. I haven't seen Aladdin. I've not seen Aladdin.
Oh,
that one looks really
I haven't
bad.
either. But yeah.
And I probably won't see Aladdin unless my kids eventually want to watch it.
Demand it.
But this one kind of effectively ripped the heart and soul out of the original, and the original was weird to start out with. But it's relevant because there's a sperm whale in the original, in this remake, they turned it into a sea monster.
Sea monster.
Which somehow ended up being significantly less scary than the one from
the sound is
original.
it's the sound design. In the original, the sounds of Monstro are monstrous.
Yeah, those are some roars from a sperm whale. That's not supposed to happen. Anyway, so the sperm whale is also known as the cachalot. Isn't that weird? Cachalot. Cachalot. Like it's a sword sworn to King Arthur. It's Sir Cachalot. It's Coachella.
Coachella.
Or maybe Cachalot. Maybe it's like just someone who wants their browser to run at like peak performance. They just clear their cache a lot. But we're gonna call it here the Black Bolt. Monkey. Oh my gosh, that sounds bad when I say it now. But maybe I'll move that. I didn't realize that. It has a part of its body called monkey lips.
Like actually
called monkey lips. We'll call it Monsieur de Sange.
Nice.
Which is the French version of monkey lips. And then we'll call it Monstro. Because I want to say Monstro more than I want to say sperm whale.
Is the thing that is monkey lips its blowhole?
No.
Okay. Well, they have a weird S-shaped blowhole. I wasn't sure if like somebody had given it a funny moniker because it has a funny shape.
No, it's a special. Well, I'll talk about it. It helps it make noise.
Okay.
How about you? Those are my nicknames. You want to taxonomize this?
Sure. It's in the kingdom you know, love, and are in. It's in the kingdom Animalia. It's in the phylum Chordata. It's in the class Mammalia in the order Artiodactyla. That means cows. It's a cow.
It's an ocean cow.
Even toed, odd toed. Is that odd toed? Even toed ungulate.
Yeah, even.
It's in the infraorder Cetacean. I almost said crustacean, which is maybe what the one from the new Pinocchio is.
It's cetacea. Cetacea. That's going to be your second daughter's name. There's going to be Crustacea and Cetacea. And you're just going to get their names mixed up all the time. It's going to be hilarious.
Well, my plan was to call her Stacy so that no one would know how goofy her real name is. But I can't call them both Stacy.
But then one of her bullies is going to figure out what her real name is, and then she's never going to be able to show herself in public again.
Yeah. The family is Physeteridae.
Mm-hmm.
And the genus is Physetera, or Physeter. Physeter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Physeter.
I would say Physeter.
Physeter.
Fish sitter. When you need someone to come and feed your fish.
John Physeter.
The species is Macrocephalus. Physeter macrocephalus is the binomial name.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good idea about if we are doing the name game.
Well, since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show, nitty-gritty nomenclature.
Yeah.
Because you know what a group of whales is called. They are the whaleologists. I don't know what they're called, but they are
cetologists.
Is it cetologists? Because
I don't know.
There are cetaceans that are not whales. But in any case, they're not as creative with their...
It is a cetologist.
Good guess. Anyway, they're not as creative with their terms of entry as the bird people, the avians, are. So we're going to go with nitty-gritty nomenclature. And
Mm-hmm.
even then, we have a little bit of a challenge ahead of us because, you're a smart boy. You've been doing this for a while. I imagine you can guess what macrocephalus means without needing to be explained. But there's another word there that we have to figure out. So, what does Ficeter macrocephalus mean? Does it mean A, large-headed blowhole, B, big-brained mountain, C, fluked big head, or D, large-headed diver? I think you can pick up on a pattern between all four.
I'm going with large-headed diver.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
That is incorrect. I hate making that sound. I'm just going to say that is incorrect. The answer is large-headed blowhole. Ficeter is blowhole.
That was the least interesting one of the four. You should have
fluked?
been there for the namings. That just means it has a tail.
Oh, no, it just means it has this particular kind of tail.
So do all whales.
I know, that's why it's not interesting.
Yeah, it's not interesting.
The blowhole one is interesting.
Oh, yeah. No, blowhole's not interesting either. So do all whales. All whales have that.
But they have the large heads?
This one is particular. And it is like toward the front of their heads. And it sprays almost in a forward tilt, which is interesting.
Yes, but macrocephalus means big head. Maybe even biggest head.
Would you like to know what it looks like?
I would.
Sperm whales look like Monstro from the original animated Pinocchio, not the remake. They don't have tentacles. What the heck?
The remake is a kaiju.
They're long cetaceans. I think it auto-corrected as citations. With a large head that tapers back to their tail. They are teardrop shaped almost. A long submarine.
Monstro, by the way, is so much bigger than a sperm whale. I mean, he is monstrous, but he is shaped like a sperm whale.
They have long narrow jaws, full of teeth that are the length of a number 2 pencil. Isn't that nuts? Large teeth.
Yeah, in the movie, his teeth are the size of their boat.
Of like a 2-story building. Yeah.
The world serpent.
Their blowholes are S-shaped, like I said, and they're like almost really close to the front of their heads, and they shoot forward. Fun stuff. They're straight shooters. They have a thick triangular fluke.
Same.
And they're a whale. They're whale. It's a whale of a time. It's a whale with a huge head. It looks like its profile looks like a submarine with a fluke.
It looks like a big gray brick.
Yeah. So that brings us to, you said it's bigger in the movie. How big is it in real life? Welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show. The part of the show where we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. When we do receive a new measure up intro from a listener, Carlos gets a 5% bonus towards his nursing school victory of 80%. If his guess is within 80% of the real answer, he gets a win. But we don't have a new measure up intro this week, which means Carlos gets nothing but his own mental capacity.
You lose. Good day, sir.
I didn't want to say that because you might not lose.
I just automatically lose because I stole fizzy lifting drinks. Anyway, last week we were so close, and had we had the measure up, I would have been in the Measure Up Hall of Fame.
So let's find out. Let's go into the archives. Last time I used Alara, and she sent in multiple. So let's see what else she's got. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show. That one is jazzy.
Yeah, that one.
Remember last week you said jazzy.
Yeah. That's, sultry jazz bar singing.
Sultry jazz bar is the soap I use in the morning. Let's talk about length. Sperm whales are the largest. They're the largest toothed whales at 20.7 meters to 68 feet long. Not 2 or 68 feet. 20 meters, 68 feet. How many sperm whales go into the distance traveled in the People's Crusade of 1096 from their starting place in Cologne, Germany, to their bitter end in the Battle of Civitate?
Well, I imagine their bitter end was met in the Middle East.
Yeah. So here's a hint. The People's Crusade started off the First Crusade. It wasn't another crusade. It was a campaign in the First Crusade, which was a response to the Byzantine Empire's call for aid in the fight against the encroaching Seljuk Turks that had taken historically significant sites like Antioch. Pope Urban II saw it as an opportunity to bring Christendom together after the Great Schism. Do you know what the Great Schism is?
It was the Eastern and Western Roman Catholic Church.
It's the split between the Byzantines, which were the Eastern Orthodox, and the Catholic Church. Yeah. And he also wanted to assert control over ruling lords, and then maybe, just maybe, retakes Jerusalem, which would have been sick.
In every
he had
sense
bad
of the
theology.
word.
He used some bad theology to get people to take up arms, getting yourself out of purgatory just by going and fighting and dying in the Holy Land. Even though that's not how it works.
Not how it works.
The People's Crusade was kicked off by Peter the Hermit, a priest who was all fired up about the crusade and got Western Europeans jazzed about going to war. From Cologne to Constantinople, they only ever won and sometimes lost skirmishes with their own allies. As soon as they entered enemy-controlled territory, they were ambushed and crushed by the Turks. And this is what happens when you don't read the Bible. This is what happens when you don't read your Bible and you listen to somebody who just says, it says you should go and fight in the Holy Land, and then you die.
Yeah, well, when there's only one church, and it is also the political power in the area, and there are no checks and balances, and they can
there's no
use it however they'd like to use it,
and there's no printing press, and there's no literacy.
Yeah, the following year
you basically trust anything someone has to tell you.
This is 1098 is a long time ago. This is the following year was the Norman invasion of England, making England basically starting the chain of turning England into the England we know today.
Yeah. And then by the Third Crusade, there was English kings in it.
Wait, which one did Robin of Locksley take part of?
That's the Third Crusade.
Is that the third one? Okay.
Yeah, Richard the Lionheart.
That's Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm. It like the
which one was Kevin Costner in?
Also, the Third Crusade. He was actually not in any. He was today, but his character in Robin Hood was in the Third Crusade. The People's Crusade is hilarious in that it is a series of blunders, and horrifying in that it is a series of atrocities. they started being like, "Hey, we got to go to the Holy Land and like retake it from the Turks." And then they're like, and they're still in Germany, and they're like, "Does that mean we have to kill Jewish people in Germany?" And everyone's like, and then the guy who was leading it, this Peter guy, was like, "No," and they're like, "We're gonna do it anyway." And they did that a lot on the way. And they fought the Byzantines, who had actually called them for help. And then as soon as they saw the bad guys, the guys they were there to fight, bad guys to them, they died immediately.
Well, that's what happens when you spend a long time fighting through your own allies to get to the
when you have
battle line, this line of
very
skirmish.
little training and armaments. These were mostly peasants.
These were militia. Later, this is a militia.
The Prince's Crusade was later, which is like noblemen and their armies and stuff went. And they took Jerusalem.
Yeah, the Crusades were not a good idea. I don't.
You could tell I did a deep dive of it and wanted to talk about it because the way that the Crusaders eventually took Jerusalem was they bribed a tower guard to like let them in the tower, and then opened the gate and took Jerusalem and slaughtered everyone, like women and children. How could that tower guard, that guy had to fall headlong in a field like that? You can't do that to your own people and just be like, well, I'm glad I got a few extra bucks in my pocket.
What did he think was going to happen?
I don't know.
Like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like,
but apparently
Rahab in Jericho.
Maybe, but there was a lot of there might have been a lot of that, Turkish commanders getting paid off to like just go away.
Yeah, anyone who says that today is the worst time to be alive has never opened a history book before. There is no time in history that I would rather be in than right now. Goodness gracious.
I might rather be in early
Eden. Yeah.
Like
pre-fall Eden. That sounds good.
Mid-90s. Mid-90s might be nice.
I mean, we have lots better we have much better medical than we did then. And then we also have Elden Ring. So, I mean, there's that.
I played that once.
But then also the mid 90s doesn't even have the Star Wars prequels yet. So that's a huge plus.
Okay.
you can be trapped in this one little bubble of time that doesn't know about Jar Jar Binks and Jar Jar Abrams.
So they died in they died just southeast of Constantinople, across the water.
Okay, so it's Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Mm-hmm. Now it is.
When I
mapped the walking path for this, it was Istanbul. It was actually another city closer to where I think the battle was, but
so from somewhere in Germany to Istanbul. Istanbul's right there on the border of Turkey and like Georgia or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So 1,000 miles.
Imagine walking for months, pillaging people along the way, and then as soon as you see the enemy, you die. You get ambushed. You might not have even seen the enemy. You might have been shot from cover.
I don't know how like they
Morons.
kept morale the whole time. I mean, eventually it's just like, goodness, we've been at this for so long, and all we've done was fight our own allies. Like, I'm going home. I'm gonna buy my way out of purgatory when I get home.
There's rumors. Well, a lot of it was like, first of all, they're gonna get out of purgatory, which is great. But then also like, you could get a lot of money from pillaging, and if you're a peasant, that's a big motivator.
Yeah, I guess. It's like, hey,
but the
go
Byzantines
steal.
were like,
go steal your way out of
Byzantines who
purgatory.
called them. Byzantine. No, actually, the Pope was like specifically like, don't steal. If you go to and not for honor or for money, you'll get out of like your sins will be forgiven or whatever. Even though Jesus said, believe in me and your sins will be forgiven as a free gift and not as a payment for slaughtering the infidel.
Or payment for building the St. Peter's Basilica. Anyway, I'm going to say 115,000 sperm whales worth of sperm whales length was this march. This
How much?
Terrible march.
15,000?
115,000.
Okay. Oh, that's your final
That's
answer?
my answer. 115,000 sperm whales go into the length of this march.
Hold on, let me just crunch the numbers, see if you got yourself a victory here. The correct answer is something went wrong. The correct answer is 120,663.
Oh, that's
Sperm-
it.
sperm
That is like that's a what is that? 97%. Yeah.
Oh, I misunderstood, but you were saying by a lot. I thought you said 1,500.
No, I said it was a 1,500-mile journey.
Oh, yes. It is a 1,554-mile journey. 2,500 kilometers.
I cannot believe how close I got to that.
You didn't even need help from the listener.
Nice. Keep the measure ups coming, though. But, yeah. Wow.
Let's talk about weight. They're 80 tones. 80 TONNES. So that is 88 short tons. Or 176,000 pounds.
That is a lot of pounds. That is thick. That is thick with so many C's. Like the high C's, the 7 C's. Thick with 7 C's.
Wow.
There, we landed at the joke. We landed at we did it.
So how many female giant squid would a sperm whale have to eat its weight in squid? And here's a hint. Females are quite a bit larger than male squid, which are 330 pounds.
The males are 330 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assume that the females are twice as big.
While you're thinking about, while you're crunching those numbers, I tried to find the weight of a single human male germ cell for obvious reasons in terms of relevance. And I couldn't. That was hard to find. But what I did find was, what animal do you think here for 5%, what animal do you think has the largest male germ cell? The largest single sperm.
This one.
That's incorrect.
Okay.
The correct answer, and you would never have gotten it, is a fruit fly. I think it is based on body weight, like largest for its size, but it's pretty big anyway. It's about 2 inches. A cell.
You're wrong.
No.
2 inches.
Yes.
2 inches for a fruit fly.
Mm-hmm. It's longer than the length of its own body.
Like by
and it's
by like
mostly
50
tail.
times. A fruit fly is so small.
The sperm made by some fruit fly species, and can be more than 2 inches long, or 20 times the length of the fly's body. Gets rolled up like a ball.
Yeah, where's it keeping
yarn.
it? It's just got one. It's got one.
It's like a ball of yarn.
It's got one cell. One sperm cell.
They're so costly to make that they produce very few of them.
That is incredible.
I think they just go quality over quantity.
They're like, this is a javelin, and this is the spear. This is King David's spear, and it's gotta hit its mark. Because I've got like another 30 minutes to live.
What's the point of having 2 inches of tail if there's nowhere to swim? There's no reason for that. I don't care what science says. Yeah, that's not, what is it?
I'm gonna say
squids.
Oh wait, I had it. No, I do still have it. 266 squid.
Final answer.
Yep.
Correct answer is 290.
Another victory. Yes.
The female giant squid can be up to 275 kilograms or 606 pounds.
That's 2 A's. It's 2 A's.
Yep.
This never happened. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Like a battery for a remote, that's 2 A's.
It's a double A. I got double C's last time.
Straight A's. All right. Let's talk fast facts before we get into the major fact. So sperm whales eat all manner of fish and squid. They famously wrestle with the ocean's biggest squid species and win almost every time. Isn't the percent like, aren't they getting an A in that as well?
I can't imagine a situation where a squid would win, even a giant one.
Well, like a giant. Well, there's the colossal squid, which I think is bigger than the giant squid.
Yeah, except we've never
and the
seen
giant
one
squid,
before.
The sperm whale has thousands of pounds on a giant squid in terms of size.
It has tons
of pounds
of thousands of pounds.
Yeah, they eat tons of food a day. Literally, sperm whales can eat up to 3% of their body weight each day. So that's like 2 tons.
I don't see like what the squid's win condition is here. use a Magic the Gathering turn. It's like
poke him in the eye. Poke him in the blowhole with a tentacle.
Yeah, I guess death by like 1,000 cuts. Goodness.
Yeah, I don't know how. If you ask me, I wouldn't know how to beat one either. So maybe with a big gun, a bomb,
or Captain Ahab's, Queequeg's, whale hunting spear.
They get their name from a waxy substance in their head that was once believed to be male germ cells. Today it's thought to be a substance that aids in buoyancy and in echolocation. Perhaps more on that later. Pods can contain around 20 individuals and are matriarchal, kind of like we talked about, I think, orcas, other pilot whales, similar. Young males stick with their moms until it's time to strike out on their own, and then males will like go lone wolf, or they will hang out with different pods and switch pods. They're in and out. They're the cool kids.
AirPods.
Where's John? He's hanging out with the pod over there.
They're the AirPods, yeah.
Sperm whale ribs are connected to the spine by a flexible cartilage, which allows them to avoid breaking under high pressures, which is fun.
It's fun not to break under high pressures.
Yeah. Sperm whale skulls are asymmetrical, which is useful in echolocation. Sound waves that return to one side of their head will sound different than sound waves that return to the other side because they will resonate differently because their skulls are asymmetrical. So it's like, oh, that sounds like that. It's coming from my left. So you can not triangulate, but like find Find the sound. And they have 4-chambered stomachs like a cow. Since they are cow.
They are cow.
They are become cow. That's all I'm going to say about that.
All your cows are belong to us.
The sperm whale brain is the largest brain of any extant animal. It might be the largest brain ever.
It's 5 times heavier than a human's brain, which is remarkable because it is so many more times heavier than us in body weight. It's not proportional, which is why we're smarter. Can you imagine if a sperm whale had a proportional brain? Be
Supercomputer.
Yeah, it'd be a supercomputer. So this is the loudest animal on Earth. It produces...
Are you sure it's not Johanna's mom's dog?
It's probably pretty close. Or the dog is probably pretty close. But this one, it takes the cake. And there are certain conditions that make this the loudest animal on Earth, but we'll talk about those. So there are a few ways to measure sound, but decibels are used to measure the intensity of sound. So it's usually the one that everybody goes to. So I'm sure we've probably given a list of how a reference list for decibels, but we'll do it again here. A ticking watch.
We did it for the bird, that one bird, the loudest bird ever.
With that braided wattle. I forgot what it's called, the white bellbird or something. Well, anyway, a refresher. A ticking watch is about 20 decibels, so that's super quiet. A typical conversation about anything other than politics is an easy 65 decibels. Motorcycles come in at 100 decibels. At this point, sustained exposure can permanently damage your hearing. A jet taking off is 140 decibels. The threshold for pain is 130. So you're losing your hearing at this point. Opening a mint during church in a Presbyterian service is a whopping 160 decibels. And then Monstrous roars in the original Pinocchio is 180.
Wait.
I'm just kidding about those last two.
Do you know what the... I should have given this to you as a trivia question for the first one to give you another 5%. But do you know what the loudest sound in history was?
Is it a meteor striking the Earth or the...
No, but that's a very good guess.
Like a hydrogen bomb going off or something?
No, it's Krakatoa.
Oh. Really? More than the hydrogen?
Yeah.
I guess it's they say this is has the power of 1,000 hydrogen bombs or something like that.
It was it's estimated because there was a construction site on an island miles away that was actually had instruments that capture sound waves and stuff. And it captured the decibel level, and based on how the sound would have degraded, but through that distance, they calculated it to be something astronomical. But continue.
Yeah, I imagine that would be the worst. So obviously the last two I said are not real. Really, I would go with the pain threshold is 130, a jet taking off is 140. In 1967, NASA recorded the first stage of the Saturn V rocket and measured it at 204 decibels. So that's significantly more than a jet. The illustrious Maestro, sperm whale himself, can squeak out an incredible 230 decibels max.
That is... So that's not that far off from Krakatoa, which is 310. So this one animal can generate the sound of the earth exploding.
Well, I guess 2/3 of the decibel level.
Yes. Yeah.
It is enough to turn your eardrums into a mint wrapper at church. Just confetti. So this is kind of cheating because sound travels a lot faster underwater. Probably also contributing to the Krakatoa thing. Why it was more than like Mount St. Helen or something like that. But sound travels a lot faster through underwater than it does through air due to the increased density of liquids versus gases. In the air, they estimate that a sperm whale's vocalizations can reach about 174 decibels, which still dwarfs a jet taking off. It's definitely more than pretty much anything you would experience in life. And it's more than, but it's not as much as like the Saturn rocket. It's not as much as a rocket launch. Who knows what the rocket would sound like underwater? It would just kill everything around it. But so like many cetaceans, sperm whales use echolocation, like you mentioned. They use it to find prey, and the sperm whales specifically use it to navigate in the crushing black depths of Davy Jones' locker. They dive deeper than almost every other mammal, except for I think there's a seal and another whale that go down that far, and they can't see. So they use echolocation to find what they're looking for and also to avoid running into each other and Krakatoa, because it's just everywhere at this point. So the way that they do this is, and you might think like, oh, like what kind of sound do they make? Humpback whales have this flowing song that they sing. Sperm whales have clicks. They make clicking sounds. So it wouldn't be quite as overwhelming. It would just be, if you were anywhere near them, it would just be like pulsating clicks that would just scramble your brain and destroy your eardrums. So it makes these clicks by forcing air through a pair of lips called phonic lips. They're also known as Monsieur de Singe, which is French for monkey lips, which was the moniker at the beginning of the episode. These are located in their noses near the blowhole. And the sound actually then goes through the titular spermaceti organ. The reason why we call it the sperm whale is it's got this massive lump of organs and tissue that are filled with this substance called spermaceti. So the sound goes through this area, and it is reflected off of another organ called the frontal sac that's filled with air, different gases that are specifically tuned or designed to reflect sound. And this goes into the melon, which is a sound resonance organ that I think we've mentioned pretty much any time we've talked about a cetacean, like the pilot whale or the bottlenose dolphin. The melon is that big brain, the part that looks like a giant brain that makes them look like they have a big head, big Neanderthal head. But what it does is it works as a sonic lens. If you remember the dolphin episode, this is how they manifest these clicks, their echolocation is they can focus the sound after it reverberates throughout their own body. This and some of the sound will be reflected. Most of it will go through the melon and be focused, but some of it will be reflected back and go through the spermaceti organ again and then make another trip. So it'll actually be reverberated 3 times through the spermaceti organ. And this reverberation kind of acts as like a sling. We were just talking about King David, but you know how he uses a sling to kill Goliath. It's basically like spinning it a few more times before releasing it. It makes it even faster or even more intense. And all of this happens in milliseconds. So this isn't like this big process. It just happens almost instantaneously, and it creates this pulse-like click that destroys eardrums, or at least human eardrums. The air that the sperm whale uses to force through its phonic lips, which by the way is my favorite a cappella group, is recycled. So it can do this and it can do this forever until it surfaces again and takes in more air. So it just kind of pushes it through these lips and creates this sound, resonates it back and forth between its organs, forces it out through its melon, and then just obliterates everything in its path. And it sounds like it definitely should, but there was a working theory that scientists had for a long time, assuming that Monstro used these clicks to stun or even kill the squid, which sounds like a pretty good. This is why I called it Black Bolt. This is like you just speaking a word and just obliterates everything in front of it. That is not the case, because most things that live underwater, especially in the deep, do not have the same kind of ear structure that we do, and so would not be susceptible or sensitive to super loud sounds like that. I mean, they would notice, but it wouldn't damage them. And they found this out by they tried playing the whale's clicks around some Humboldt squid, which are much easier to observe than giant squid, but still same general ear structure. They played it at the same volume, same decibel level as the sperm whale, and it didn't do anything. It just made them. It didn't harm them. At least it made them swim
How did
away.
they play it that loud?
We got this. We have the technology.
We have the meats.
The meats.
So, like, at a certain decibel level, apparently, like, sound stops acting like a sound and starts acting like a shockwave. So, like, they don't have the ear danger part of it, but would it not rock their... I guess they also don't have the organ structure that we do, so maybe it wouldn't rock their body like a wagon wheel.
Any way they feel. I imagine, yeah, they might like feel it in their lack of bones, and then, but I mean, this doesn't prevent them from being caught. So you imagine the sperm whale is just like broadcasting itself. By the way, this can be another sperm whale can pick up on its. It has 4 different kinds of vocalizations, which if you go on the Wikipedia page, you can listen to them all. And its normal one, where it's searching for prey, can be heard up to 16 kilometers. It does not say miles. Let's do a little conversion here. That's 3. Or sorry, nope. That's almost 10 miles. It's regular clicks, but it has this this slow and low click that can be heard up to 60 kilometers or 37 miles. And
Wow.
these are to communicate with each other. So the main reason for these to be so loud is to be able to reach long distances like this. It doesn't seem to have any sort of like weaponization, which would just be OP. And it's like you don't stand a chance. This thing emanates a debilitating shockwave, 10 miles in every direction. Like, how are you gonna? You don't stand a chance. But one thing I thought was interesting and also just kind of creepy is that they put trackers on these whales as they make their dives. And the way that they hunt is they swim upside down. And they go to a depth that they believe that the whale believes is underneath where their prey is, where the squid are. And it will swim upside down and look towards the surface. So for them, it looks down, but they're looking up. look towards the surface, and try to make out differences in the light. So like there is a little bit of light that comes through, and if that's ever interrupted, they're like, something's there, I'm going for it, and then they'll attack.
So this is the what is it? Thalassophobia, with the fear of the deep.
Yeah, you just like now like you're swimming up there in the ocean, in the broad ocean, and not only is the ocean filled with just horrible things, but specifically so up to like 7,000 feet below you, there's this 70-foot monster floating silently upside down, staring up at the surface, looking for differences in the light to attack. Like, that's get away from me. It's just down there waiting, upside down, like it's smart, it's malicious, it's huge.
You can swim faster than you run.
They can swim fast. They weigh 176,000 pounds. They are the world's largest toothed predator. Sperm whales. And then to top that all off, I have I have like a Pavlovian response to anything resembling Monstro as a kid. It's just the most terrifying Disney villain of all time.
So if it rammed you full speed, it would be like 23 miles per hour. Is that enough to kill you outright?
If you got hit with 176,000 pounds at 23 miles per hour, yeah, you're dead. and considering that Monstro was maybe 10 times bigger than your average sperm whale, then we'll say that Monstro was 1.7 million pounds. And maybe 700 feet long. Like, he had a whole ship in his mouth. He didn't even realize it.
Big guys, big scary guys.
You got anything else?
That's all I got.
So, for you out there in Podcastia, that was the sperm whale. So, dive down deep. Click your favorite song at the top of your lungs and try to smash untrustworthy sentient puppets to smithereens like Monstro here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
Take those sentient puppets down a peg.
I needed to read that beforehand so I would be ready to say it.